What up, my friends? Day 139, No Excuses 2024. I can't get this whole climate change and Gaza protest thing out of my mind, right? Because this morning I seen Greta Thunberg. She's put down her climate change agenda for Gaza, anti-Israeli agenda now. Because Gaza's got it all, right? You got minorities, you got Jews, you got Arabs, a bunch of people dying, attacks, this, that. It's got it all, And there's no eyes on the climate change agenda right now, which is what I really want to talk about, is the climate change agenda. Also that if Greta shows up at your protest or starts championing your cause has been captured. You have operatives inside of your cause now. Probably double agent, Mossad, agent type people who, just like the FBI does to all, grassroots organizations, if that's what they really are. But, maybe when they start and they infiltrate from the inside out, and discredit them over time. And, the globalists are the ones that are paying for both sides of this protest, the Israeli side and the Hamas side, or whatever it is, Palestinian side. 100%, But anyway, the climate change thing, that one doesn't hold as much oomph right now, right? The climate, we've gotten off of what the real topic is, right? Like carbon, your carbon footprint, right? They want you to be responsible for all the corporate pollution in the world, right? So they switch it, before in the 70s, when we had the fake Indian commercial. I guess he was like an Italian actor, but back then you could play whatever you wanted to, it didn't matter. Now it's the same 6 Indians that play in every movie that has Native Americans or whatever. Anyway, with the teardrop, and it was all pollution, right? And that's what they were talking about. They didn't talk about climate change because they thought we were in the beginning of a mini ice age. But they, a lot of people, because of core samples and trees, cores and all this stuff, and soil samples, they know that we're at the end of a 10,000 year cycle of ice age. So of course it's getting warmer, right? And it's going to continue to get warmer until we hit the end of that, and then it'll probably, it gets whatever, and then it goes the other way, right? And just like there's 10,000 year cycles, I'm sure there's 20,000, 50,000 year cycles, 100,000 year cycles. We just haven't been keeping records that long. And there's also 100-year cycles. So 100 years ago, in the 20s, and then more so in the 30s, but starting at the end of the 20s, 1920s, weather was crazy. Like the 30s, we had some of the most extreme weather than we ever had, since we had been taking records. And they know that's coming around again. So they're using that for an agenda to get you to pay your fair share of your carbon footprint, right? You hear Bill Gates, they question him, well, you're in a jet every day, twice a day, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, yeah, we don't plant trees anymore. What I do now is I buy the gold standard of carbon offset credits, right? And then you look into who sells those carbon offset credits. Lo and behold, it's freaking the Bill Gates Foundation, through one of their little, organizations here and there that they fund, or them directly as well, right? Because everybody's got to get in on the grift. But we take the focus off of what is really important, and that's pollution, right? Something that they could actually do something about is pollution. We've been polluting the seas for, hundreds, if not thousands of years, more so now because of the scale that we have in the population growth. And in Flint, Michigan, remember they switched the water to the river water, and everybody got sick because the water was acidic and it was burning through the lead in the pipes and giving everybody lead poisoning and other things, other issues. And that's a natural body of water, that river. They know who polluted that river, right? They know who polluted that river. And some of those companies are still in business. Maybe they've been bought out by other companies, this and that, because they had to go through bankruptcy or this. But they haven't cleaned the fucking river, And just like soil, right? They got the Superfund sites, and they're fucking good. They got the PFT chemicals, the forever chemicals in them and stuff like that. And, hits in the ground soil and people drink that. They get respiratory illnesses from air pollution, all kinds of stuff, you know. And we deindustrialize our country so it looks like it's a lot cleaner. And it is in a lot of ways. I mean, I was born in 1970, and the sunsets and the sunrises in Boston, over Boston, was beautiful back in the 70s and 80s. You know, all these rainbowy, iridescent colors, but that was all air pollution. You know, it was all smog. And it's a lot better now. Same thing with the Charles River, right? But what I'm saying is, we can do something about pollution. We're not going to be able to do anything about the temperature and the climate other than mitigate it with our technology. You know, in places that get tons of tornadoes, right? I'm always like, well, how come they don't have fortified basements? They're like, well, the ground's really hard packed. Okay, it's expensive to do it. All right, well, you know, the more you do it, the cheaper it'll become. And you just build the whole house underground. Then you can have whatever you want up top, you know, trees, whatever, right? I'm just saying, I'm no fucking engineer. I'm a geologist, but, you know, I can figure that one out, right? And in places that are prone to fires, you know, you make concrete like hempcrete, right? And I think I'm not exactly sure, but I think it holds temperatures back up to 2,800 degrees, you know, and it absorbs carbon, which everybody's worried about. But remember, folks, we are carbon-based life forms. Remember in Star Trek? You're the carbon footprint they want to get rid of. It's not their pollution. It's not their Airstream jets and their multi-million-dollar, $100 million yachts and mansions on the coast because they're so scared of climate change and the ocean rising, right? That they still build houses right on the beach. You know? So we've lost focus of what, you know, they could really do is do something about pollution, right? Polluting the ocean, polluting ground, you know, the ground, burning trash, whatever. I mean, I kind of like that one because I use it to make energy, but, you know, they're trying to ruin, because if there's more energy abundance, there's less strife in the world because people can take care of themselves. They don't need handouts from other nations, you know. They can do things for themselves. They can participate in commerce around the globe, you know. But we don't want that, you know. And if you think about it, there's all kinds of technologies that have been locked up or denied patents, and, you know, or corporations have bought them up, or the people are discredited who made the gasoline-powered engine, or they're poisoned, or they commit suicide with their hands tied behind their back and they shoot themselves twice in the forehead. You know, the usual stuff. So, you know, and again, with the Greta thing, how come she wasn't over I mean, she's gone over to Ukraine to congratulate Zelensky on losing a war, I guess, right? But how come she didn't go over there for the 8 years where they were indiscriminately bombing and shelling the Donbass and Kherson area on that eastern region of Ukraine? Not once, you know, over 30,000 people dead in 8 years. You know, I mean, if that's not an environmental catastrophe, I don't know what is, right? And you know, it's probably really bad for climate change, if that is a thing, or CO2 in the atmosphere, which they never know how much is bad and how much is good and how much there actually is probably indiscriminate bombing and shelling of public and private structures and people, you know. I'm just saying. You know, we back in the 70s and 80s, they did that whole give a hoot, don't pollute campaign. And that took the onus off of the companies to clean up their act. You know, there's ways of manufacturing packaging and, you know, this and that. That'll be a lot cleaner and biodegradable. But it costs money. Cleaning up freaking pollution and trash and all that, it all costs a lot of money. And they don't want to do that. You know, they want you to cut down your carbon footprint, which is you and your children and your way of life. You know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't give a hoot and don't pollute, definitely. But let's stop thinking that we're going to give these billionaires and these corporate investment banks or whatever, investors like BlackRock and, you know, the rest of them, the top 20, money to bring down the global temperature. It's not going to work, folks, because there's nothing you can do about that. But we could do stuff about clean air, clean water, you know, clean soil. We deindustrialize our nation. We sent all the pollution to China and India. And then when we're done with them, we pack up and move on to the next one. We bring their living, you know, up. We raise people out of poverty. Then they want more money. And then we go, well, we're shutting down and we're moving to India. Oh, we're shutting down and we're moving to Vietnam. You know, meanwhile, it's just pollution after pollution after pollution. You know, and they're buying carbon offset credits. So, you know, that's good. But yeah, that's the only thing on my mind today, man. Day 139, no excuses 2024. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Peace.